Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of My Way, Conversations with Entrepreneurs Doing Business Outside the Box. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I'm so excited to be here with you for another episode tonight. Listen, this is an interactive show. I want to remind you guys, please head over to the comment section wherever you're joining us from, whether you're live or on the replay. We love our replay viewers too, at 2 a.m, whatever time you get here. Let us know that you're here, where you're joining from, and let us know throughout the show if you have any questions for our guest. So my guest tonight, I met during a networking event, and you know how those things can be very fast-paced and a lot going on and lots of people. And by the time you're done, you're kind of ready to pass out, and you don't know who you've just talked to. But this person stood out to me because she had a very, in the midst of all this craziness, she had this incredible warmth and down-to-earth personality. She has a background in engineering as well as an MBA. Her company, GrowthCast, helps business owners build fiscally fit businesses. So many of you guys need to be paying attention tonight, taking notes. I'm so excited to welcome Judi to the show. Welcome, Judi.
Oh, thanks, Jessica. I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here tonight. And we're going to get into lots of good things, but this concept of doing business your way, doing things my way, which is what this show is focused on. Have you always been someone who maybe is a little bit of a rebel or not so much?
Yeah, probably.
I love it.
Yeah, I was going to say not really, but I think that my mother would probably beg to differ.
Yeah.
I think my husband would probably beg to differ too. Yeah. So I guess I've always had that in me.
I think, I like to think that the majority of entrepreneurs I know sort of have that little bit of, I do better not with a boss.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I couldn't imagine going back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell us, Judi, I mentioned that you have a background in engineering as well as an MBA. So obviously, you weren't, have you been an entrepreneur your whole life career, or what did that look like for you?
No, I did the whole corporate thing for many, many years until 2005. I started my career as an engineer, designing chips, designing ASICs, and designed hardware and software. I moved into management fairly early, before I was 30, and moved up the ranks and up and up and up until I wound up at a Fortune 100 company, leading a team all over the world, a giant budget, on a plane 3 weeks out of the month, and miserable. So miserable. That was probably one of the biggest non-traditional thing I did, was leaving that big job with no other job, no plan, nothing, just left because I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And that was the start of my entrepreneurial journey. It was a really scary decision, and it was also one of the best decisions I've ever made in my entire life.
I love that. And so many people look in, Judi, to people's situations like that, and they say, well, you're making great money, you're moving up. I don't understand why are you so unhappy then? Because so many people would love to be making the money, then they would love to be moving up. So what was it that just, it must have been challenging for you. I'm sure you heard from other people like, Judi, what are you doing?
Oh, I said it to myself. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It was, on the outside, it was perfect, but I was so unfulfilled. There was, at the level that I was playing, there was so much corporate politics, and I was tasked with trying to gather power and gather, and it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
It was really, really unrewarding. I didn't feel good about the work I was doing. I was on the road all the time and not taking good care of myself. It was exhausting. Yeah, I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you, because for me, I have found some of the similar things can easily come up in entrepreneurship. It can be easy for us to start working a lot of hours, not taking care of ourselves, all of the things that we all walked away from. And now we're entrepreneurs and we have to stop ourselves before we get to that place. Like, how do you keep yourself in check with going, wait a minute, I didn't leave all that to do it again?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm well aware of where my boundaries
Mm,
are. I mean, now it's what, 17, 18 years later.
yeah.
Now I know where my boundaries are. I know what I want my life to look like. But even during those spurts that I was working like crazy, because there are always spurts like that, I
Yeah.
was doing it for me,
Mm.
which is a big difference. And I was doing something I believe in and something that I feel like helps people.
Hmm. I love that because our purpose, our that whatever our connection is within our business of that keeps us up at night and that wakes us up in the morning and we can't stop thinking about it. Like that can be I think that's why it can be easy to drown in our work sometimes now because we are so interested and invested in what we're doing. It's our baby that we're putting
Yeah,
into the world.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not taking care of yourself means that it's just that much harder for you to put it out in the world.
Right.
I do a presentation. I just did my first in-person speaking engagement last week.
Yeah.
And it's on the profit drains, the things that leak money out of your business.
Mm,
But one of them is not taking care of yourself, not
mm.
taking the time to sharpen the saw, as Stephen Covey would say.
Yeah. And it's so true, right? Because if we don't take care of ourselves, and the body breaks down and all of this stuff, who's going to run the business?
Yeah, who's going to take care of our employees and our
Yeah.
clients? And yeah, absolutely. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Exactly. So I know that one of the questions that came in, and I feel like we're going to end up touching on this a little bit throughout the show tonight. My friend Oleg asked, what has entrepreneurship been able to give you that other career options may not have?
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
question, Oleg. Um, a freedom.
Mm,
Um, Also, that ability to do what I feel is right. I said when
mm,
I was starting out, one of the things that frustrated me about corporate was, sometimes you feel like that guy or gal in the corner office is making bad decisions. Um, you get to make all the decisions.
mm.
So if they're good or bad, it's up to you. It's all your doing, which makes it much easier even to deal with the bad decisions because you learn things from it.
Right, right.
So that
I
sense of empowerment, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. I wrote down when he asked that question, I wrote down freedom, same
Yeah.
as you. I wrote down unlimited and unstifled creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt
Yeah.
like that was a huge thing, like in other jobs that I've had being held back of where I'm someone that I have 8 million great ideas every moment of every day.
Yeah.
And I want the freedom to explore those things and not
Yeah.
necessarily be held back by that. Have you been able to feel more creative being an entrepreneur now yourself?
Yeah, it's so funny because I never thought of myself as a creative person, but now I know I absolutely am a creative person. The way that I've put things together, the way that I've some of the problems that I've solved and the way that I've found solutions for them. I discovered that about myself. So that's, I guess, another gift that entrepreneurship has given me.
That is so good, Judy, because so many people have said to me, I'm not a creative person because when they hear
Yes.
creative, they think painting, singing, anything like that. And I'm like, no, creativity it's a brain. It's the way your brain works. I think it's not limited to like, an artistic type thing, right?
Yeah. And I think it's like a muscle too. When you need to start using it, if you're not in your corporate cubicle doing your job the same way that you're supposed to do it every week, every month. And, you know, you get out into the entrepreneurial world, and problems are going to hit you that you've never even thought of, and you've got to figure it out. And you do.
Yeah, I mean, it must take someone who's creative to be an entrepreneur, because Lord knows I come up against all kinds of problems all the time, and who's going to be the one to solve it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Well, I know the other thing I wrote down for me was that for me, there wasn't any hoops that I felt like I needed to jump through in order to either get the job or maintain the job. Like, as far like where entrepreneurship for me was about the experience and results being key, and then the testimonials from that, because I dropped out of college. Went to have a family, and Lord knows I never pictured doing anything like this now.
Me neither.
But even in the jobs that I had been in before, it was a situation where it was always like, well, in order to move up, you have to do this, and you have to go back to school. You have to have this degree. And it was like, with entrepreneurship for me, I could do something that I was passionate about. You know, then someone would give a testimonial and the results would speak for itself. And then it was kind of, all working together. I know that you have an MBA and you have all of this education in your background, but have you felt more free in entrepreneurship to maybe explore things without going, oh, well, 4 more years of school, or, something else?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If I happen to love school, if I ever went back to school, it would be to learn about history or cultures or languages of a region, and then I would go live in that region. I wouldn't go back to school for, a business degree. I did think for a while, when I was still in corporate, about getting a law degree, but I don't need it. I learned so much more getting my hands dirty and, working with other entrepreneurs. And I have experts that I can call on. If I want to learn an aspect of the law, I call my favorite attorney and take him to lunch, and he'll tell me everything I need to know. So there are so much more personalized ways of learning now. I mean, you can learn anything you want on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can, literally anything. We can learn how to make balloon animals. We can do whatever it is.
Yeah, one of my nieces learned how to play piano.
Yeah, that's anything. Yeah, I love that. And I know, so Grim is here tonight, and she said she never considered herself to be creative, but I guess in a way I am on the tech side. And I can vouch, Grim is absolutely creative when it comes to the tech stuff. And she said, I have lots of school, but never recommend school for tech or general business. I learned more with experience. And I think people are coming to realize that now. Before it was like, we've talked about sort of the flow of life, how people, you used to be, you go to school, you get a job, then you get married, and then you have kids, and then that's it. Then you die, and that's it. It's over. Like, just that there was nothing. It was like, that was the order in which you had to do things. You had to go to college, and so many people were really focused on that. Have you ever seen the movie Accepted?
No.
There's a movie, it's a kind of a young kids, teenager, I guess, sort of movie, but it's so cute in the way that it's done. But the concept is that it's this focus of the parents being really like, you have to go to college. Why aren't you getting into college? Where's your acceptance letters, kind of thing. And the kid's like, I didn't get into anywhere I applied. So he actually, the movie is focused on, he makes up a college, and he has his parents agree with it, but it ends up being this place where all these kids who weren't accepted anywhere else they tried to apply to come together, and they make up their own classes. They're like, learning how to meditate and how to take photos and doing all these things. And long story short, it was just a cool concept, because there are so many people that are focused on, you have to do ABC to be successful. And
Yeah.
that's
No.
it. And that's just not the way it goes, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am grateful for what I learned, especially in my MBA,
Mm.
because it helped me make that transition. And also, you know, a stint in a CFO seat in a company that I was with after my corporate days. But yeah, you can do it any way you want to.
Yeah.
As long as you can gain the skills to help people. Yeah, there's lots of ways to get
Yes.
there.
Yes. Well, I know that you work with small businesses and entrepreneurs in the finances realm, in being fiscally fit, fiscally responsible. I'll be honest with you. When I started it, all of this, you know, me being in business for myself was by accident. I never got an education in, you know, business finance or anything like that. And so I still am very much a work in progress in that realm of things. Do you find that that might be the case with a lot of people who get into business for themselves, that maybe they just have not a clue when it comes to that stuff?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm
That's
not
why I do
alone.
what I do. Yes, because so many people are great marketers and architects and great whatever, car repairmen. But unless you had that finance education, you likely didn't learn the nuances of
Mm,
business finance and how to look at profitability and how to read a balance sheet and how to create a cash flow forecast or even manage your cash flow.
mm.
Yeah, nobody teaches this stuff. So
Yeah.
that's what I get to do.
We're so grateful for you, because, and you know, it's one of those things where we were talking before about, you know, how you might want to be multi-passionate. You have a very multi-passionate energy. And so I love school. I loved school as well. I loved learning new things. And even more so now in my adult life, I have shiny object syndrome when it comes to news. I'm like, oh, that looks like it might be fun. Let's go learn that.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to, I have never once in my business thought to myself, oh, finances, I want to do that myself.
Well, then don't. Then you shouldn't. But somebody needs to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the most important things that maybe we don't think about, or we don't, when we're creating our business, and what do we need to be paying attention to that we're not?
Yeah, finances are one.
Mm,
A lot of people will create a business and just go out and start getting clients, but they're not really paying much attention to what it's costing them to deliver the product or the service. This is a little bit more complicated on the service side. Um,
yeah.
Take a freelancer, especially when you start out, you're probably pricing yourself pretty low and you're working your tail off to
Mm,
please your clients. And if you divided the dollars by the hours, you would probably want to cry.
yeah. I can, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that you need to, does it have to be like that when we start
No,
out? Okay, because I
no,
think some of us feel like, oh, well, we're paying our dues
no, it
right
doesn't.
now.
It doesn't. A lot of it, Jessica, a lot of my work is, you know, the numbers and the accounting stuff. But another piece of my work is all the stuff we have in our head around money and
Mm,
around value. And it shows up in our pricing and it shows up in the deals we go after. And it shows up in how we present ourselves, especially when we're starting out. And it's all just limiting beliefs around money in our head.
yeah. It makes sense to me that that would be something that really holds us back. But I tend to dive right into the woo pool and go swimming, with the mindset stuff and everything else. But there's a lot of people that look at that and they're like, it can't be as easy as just mindset, can't be as easy as limiting beliefs, whatever. So I'm just not
Well,
going
you
to
have to
address
do
it.
the work too.
Right.
Yeah, you have to do the work, but the mind the mindset and the limiting beliefs is our roadblocks. They
Mm,
stop you from going farther faster.
yeah. Yeah. So as we're creating our businesses, and we're like, okay, uh, when we start our businesses though, like what if we don't have someone that we can't go hire a Judi because we're not making any money
Yeah.
yet? Like what do we do what's something that we can do until we can hire Judi?
Yeah, and you don't need to hire a Judi. You can hire a bookkeeper that, is even a couple $100 a month when you're just starting out. The first thing you should do, and I should have said this first, is make sure you have separate business accounts, separate business checking account, separate business credit card. Do not commingle your funds right from the get-go, right from the day you start. Open up a business account. You're going to have to take money out of your personal account and put it in there when you first get started. But that's really dangerous for a couple of reasons. First of all, if either you, the person, or you, the company, gets audited by the IRS, if they see that you're commingling, they'll also look at the other entity. The second reason it's really dangerous is it does what's called piercing the corporate veil. And this is a legal phrase. What it means is that if your business gets sued for something that's not your negligence, that's not, you didn't do anything wrong, if you've pierced the corporate veil, they can also come after all your personal stuff. So that's two really big reasons. The third reason is that if your business finances are separate, when you are ready to have someone come in and help you organize them, it's much easier to do. If it's, one bank account and not, your personal and this business and 4 different random credit cards, that's tough to tease apart.
Yeah. Yeah. So if someone's listening that on this first point about separate bank accounts and they don't have that, like obviously separate it now,
Yep, go open a new one. Yep. You
tomorrow,
can
go do it
tomorrow. Yeah, absolutely. Go open a new
Yeah.
business checking account. Make sure it's a business checking account, because if you get a check in the name of the business, you may have trouble cashing it or depositing it. Business checking account, business credit card. Go look online for a good free one, or go to your local bank. I do recommend that business owners try and have a relationship with a banker if they can, if they know a good banker, because that can be very, very helpful as they grow.
I love that. Have a relationship with I found that even helpful when it comes to your personal finances.
Totally.
If you go in there and you know the person and they know your situation,
Yeah. And they
then
know you, they're going to fight for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that was the case when we were all down last year and got COVID, and my husband lost his job at the same time. Knowing someone and them going, okay, we know who they are. They're not playing around. They vouched for us when we needed help, which was really nice as well. We moved from banking with a large bank to a smaller bank, and it was so much nicer.
I would definitely recommend a local community bank. They're going to care about you. The guy at the big multinational, sorry, Mr. Small Business Owner, they don't care.
They don't care, and they don't make good notes either. Like, I can't tell you how many times I would call on the phone because they would, like, this was during COVID. And so they were like, you have to call, you can't come in the office because we're not open. And so I would call, and then they wouldn't make notes. So then I'd have to call again, and they wouldn't have any clue what I was talking about.
Yeah.
It's just not fun.
No. So form a relationship with a really great local community banker. It's a good person to have on your team.
I love that. That's great advice. Yes. So we're not to the point of being able to hire a Judi. We want to hire a Judi because Judi's amazing. So we've got separate bank accounts now. Anything else that you can think of that we should be doing to get ourselves lined up for a Judi or a bookkeeper or anybody later on?
Yeah. I mean, if you have the stomach for it, try to set yourself up on QuickBooks. Although I really do think it's worthwhile getting a couple hours from a bookkeeper to get the setup and then teach you the handful of things that you need to know. The QuickBooks or Xero or any of them, they're all very similar. Getting the setup right is important. So again, I would recommend trying to get someone for that. But if you can't, you can't. Make your best guess. Connect your bank account and your credit card to QuickBooks, your accounting system, and then all your transactions will just come in automatically. You can approve them. So you're not typing everything in every week.
See, I think QuickBooks must have changed since since I used it when I worked for when I was office manager and I had to use QuickBooks. Back then, a minute ago, they did not have where it could connect to you had to put everything in.
Oh,
manually.
no. Yeah, you don't have to do that anymore.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
Now I feel better already, Judi.
Yeah. No, you don't have to do that anymore.
We come a whole step further.
Yeah.
So I love that. Those are some great ideas for people to be able to get started. Let's go back to the mindset piece, because obviously part of how you're doing things your way is that mindset piece, and sharing that with your clients as well. Do you just, share that stuff with the smaller businesses, or are the larger businesses that you've worked with open to hearing about it too?
Yeah, absolutely. Smaller businesses and larger businesses, it really is more the person, if they're open to hearing it overtly, or if I have to be a little more covert and gentle and slow with it. So one of the biggest businesses I worked with was, I think they did $18 million commercial bakery in Connecticut.
Wow.
And the CEO there was fabulous. He was young, he was smart, he was open to hearing about different, different ways of thinking. When the pandemic started, he let me remind him to meditate every day. It's like, oh, thank you. I need to do that. So yeah, he was very open to that kind of stuff. And it's not, I don't even think it's an age thing. It's just, are you open to a little more depth, or are you just, going to stay all business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, oh, something's playing in my background. There we go. So I love when that happens. I was talking to myself in the background. So obviously the person has to be open to it and everything else. So what are some of the things that if what is the typical reaction that you might get from someone if you go in and say, well, listen, I think some of this is mindset, some of this we need to work on, some beliefs, or what are some reactions maybe that you've gotten before about that?
Yeah, so a funny reaction I got once. She wasn't a client. She was, I was part of a co-working space when I first started out, which was wonderful, by the way. I could go on a whole tangent about that. But I was doing a presentation on limiting beliefs and how they affect your business. And she came up to me and said, I'm not going to your presentation. I don't have any limiting beliefs. My business is just very hard. She was a coach. So, your coaching business can be very hard or it can be very easy. But yeah, just that I don't have any limiting beliefs was the funniest limiting belief that I've ever heard.
I love that.
I don't always approach it like directly. So, all right. So I'll give you two more examples. Sure. I had a client who had taken on a lot of debt, and he was still having trouble paying his bills. And he thought his solution was to get another loan. And I had to talk him out of that. Then I have another client who had gone through bankruptcy years and years ago, and there is no way in the world that he is taking on any debt. And he could grow his business. I see some opportunities where this one, the anti-debt guy, could be smart about it and leverage and grow his business. So he is pretty open. So I just mentioned it to him. I said, you're really anti-debt. I understand why, but do you see that there are these opportunities here that if, you took on a little bit of debt and you did this big project that you're doing, that you're now funding very slowly off of cash flow, you could do it much quicker and get there much further. It's like, yeah, I see that. Still not sure I'm comfortable. So it's a series of conversations.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Grim was asking a question based on what we were talking about before. So she uses PayPal Business in her business, and she has the PayPal credit card. So she has her thing separate. But she said PayPal versus a bank account, does it matter as long as it's separate in a business account?
It for what I was saying, it doesn't. I'm not personally a fan of PayPal. If it's working great for you, awesome. But I've heard too many stories of PayPal deciding that you should not have this money for whatever crazy reason PayPal decided that. So I'm a little wary of PayPal. It's, as far as I know, it's not at like an FDIC approved bank account. So you don't really want to be accumulating any amount of money in there.
Right.
You may want to just have a bank account where you can take the extras and put it aside.
Yeah. I think that's wise too, because that's what I ended up doing. Was I used PayPal for a lot of the different transactions, but then as far as like moving it to an account, like an actual account. She said she's been with them for 20 years, which is good.
Wow.
But yeah, so I mean, it's good, it's working, but I would guess on the topic that we were talking about of keeping things separate, as long as it's a business account, that it's better than it not being separate.
Yes, correct. You can show all your business finances in one place.
Very good. Very good. So back to the mindset stuff that we've been talking about, like, obviously that was a really good example, by the way, of I don't have limiting beliefs being a limiting belief. I keep going back to that in my head. But what are some of the things that you have seen more often than not with some clients when it comes to money? What are some of the biggest things that you feel like are holding us back when it comes to our finances and our business?
The biggest one is I'm not good at finance, or I'm not good with money. Yeah, that's the biggest one. And it's very learnable. It's I don't want to say it's easy to learn. It should be easy to learn. It's not easy to learn because most of the content out there uses a lot of accounting jargon. But I try to be, very plain English with my clients. It is something that you do need to learn to be successful. It's not going to take care of itself, and it's really not that hard. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. Dip your toes in the water.
Just dive in at this point. Just to
right. Yeah, why not? You're a brave entrepreneur. Go for it.
It's almost summer. It's warming up slowly but surely. Just dive right in. She said that one. Grim said that one is mindset too. You have to set your mind and be willing to do it. To be willing. Yeah.
And you have to believe that you can. You have to believe that you're going to figure it out. But we figure out a lot of things as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. We do.
And you get some help.
Yes.
It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. If you do get stuck, or if you want help getting started, do get some help.
Yeah. What does that cost look like, Judi, for people that might be going, okay, well, she's saying that I need a bookkeeper. Like, what do you see as being maybe like a median cost for bookkeeping? Does it go by the hour? Like, what does that look like?
They usually go by the hour. But what you could do if you're really, really, really cost sensitive, find a bookkeeper that will help you get set up and teach you what you need to do, and maybe spend an hour a month going over what you've done. So, depending on where you are in the country, I would guess it's probably between $30 and $75 an hour for a bookkeeper to get set up. It's probably, for a new business, not very many hours, a couple of hours.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. That seems pretty reasonable for,
Yeah.
a brand new business right out the gate. So how do you specifically help your clients, Judi? Because you've talked about mindset, you've talked about looking at finances. What does your process look like?
Yeah, so my process starts with a diagnostic tool that I've developed. And we look at, I think there are 75 different points covering profitability, revenue generation, operations, IT and systems, and your team. And it spells out profit, if you couldn't tell as I was walking through it. So we start with that diagnostic tool, and that uncovers all sorts of things. Plus, there are the needs that the client has come to me with during the sales cycle. And we just start, putting a plan together. What kind of processes do we need in place? What kind of analysis do I need to do? I do a lot of analysis on what's generating the most profit in your business. I had a client when I first started out, a relatively small business, a $300,000 business, a service business. She was doing 12 distinctly different things, some of which seemingly had nothing to do with one another. She was running around like a chicken with her head cut off, not knowing what she was doing and not making any money. So I looked at where the profit was coming from. She also was very passionate about some of them. And, I talk about money all the time, but it's never just about the money. We're all doing something that we're passionate about. Right. So we got her down to 5 lines of business. She made the same $300,000 the following year and made a really nice profit, and was so much more focused and did a much better job and had a much better quality of life.
Yeah, I love. And Grim said she loves your word diagnostic and never thought of using that word. Much better than discovery call.
After the discovery call, yeah, this is a really deep dive. Like a physician would do. I'm just checking you all out.
Yeah, we need that. We need that and sometimes I would imagine just like hiring any other kind of coach or anything, that extra set of eyes is invaluable, because even if you are good at finances or whatever, or have had experience, sometimes that extra pair of eyes of just going, okay, this is something that you missed, is really helpful.
Well, and plus we're used to the way we do things. So we don't really see the opportunities for improvement. I had someone I was working with that one of their big customers was Trader Joe's, and she was getting in this PDF of all of the, they would send one big check and they would send a PDF with all the invoices they were paying. So she was typing these all in. So, and sometimes making a mistake, and then the receipts didn't get applied to the right invoices. So the IT guy, I think in like a half an hour, just found a way to turn this PDF into an Excel sheet that she could then just import. So yeah, things like that an outside eye will see, and you're just saying, well, that's just the way I do things. That's just the way we do things here.
Oh my gosh. And how often do we do that? We do that all the time.
I'm sure I do it in my business too. Yeah.
Yeah. I love, so much. I have filled up an entire page already here of stuff that I've been writing down tonight. So you go through this diagnostic process and you pick out things like looking at the systems, the operation
together based on what they need. So for example, I'm talking with there are a lot of business owners lately that want to sell their business. So, we might need to clean up their financials. We might need to look at where the profit is coming from, what's most profitable. We might need to pay down some debt. So let's come up with a strategy and then start executing on that to pay down some debt. Let's see, what else? The other big one with if a business owner is looking to sell, there might be things the business owner is doing. We might need to put people in place and train them on doing that so that the business owner can leave and the business is still solid. A lot of businesses that I work with are growing, so we'll put together a budget for growth. I had one business an owner that she wanted to grow very, very quickly. She didn't have the cash to grow as quickly as she wanted to, but it wasn't until we laid it all out over a period of 3 years that she saw how much cash she was going to need, until it was a retail operation, until each store came online and started being self-sufficient.
Let me ask you about that. You mentioned budget. Like when it comes to, I know I've done budgeting things with personal finances before. Is creating a budget for your business similar to that? Like, is it the same concept? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I do like to start at looking at the past. You know, what have you historically spent on electricity or gas or whatever? And then I add in the element of business planning. Okay, so what do you want to do next year? And when a business owner says, you know, I want to do another $1 million in sales, okay, cool. What's it going to take in marketing dollars? Who are we going to have to hire? Are we going to need more inventory? Are we going to need more space? And we'll build that all into the budget.
Yeah, that's awesome to look at it. Like, how far out do you recommend people look out goal-wise when they're considering their finances for their business?
A lousy answer. It depends.
Yeah.
At least a year. A year is minimal. If you're looking for equity investment, they're going to be looking for more. They're going to be looking for 3 to 5 years. If you're looking for a loan, they may be looking for another year. At this point in the year, let's see, where are we? April. If I was starting a new budget, I probably would do the remaining 9 months of this year and the following year for a client.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that in my question. I was just like, I was thinking about myself. I wasn't even thinking about though, like if you go to apply for a loan or looking for investors, like that you need maybe to even look further than you yourself are comfortable looking at. And that's where Judi comes into handy too.
I do a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I know that you shared, I'm going to pull up your website and I would love for you to share with everybody what they can find there, Judi.
Oh, sure. So you can find up on the top, you can find a list of my services, the CFO solutions. That is, and I do customized packages, and all of these packages are customizable for each client. Then I would go to About GrowthCast, and where's my blog? Oh, the blog's all the way on the end. This gets updated every week. I do 3-minute video postings. You can get them here. You can get them on my YouTube channel. 3-minute quick tips for business owners. So please do check those out either there or on YouTube. And then the other thing I want to mention is the Fiscal Fitness Bootcamp. And this is something that I had created that I'm actually going to revive. And this is appropriate for the new or smaller business owner. It's an online class with a little bit of coaching from me. Each week we'll do, an hour group coaching call. And this is a great way to get started if you're unsure of where to start and you don't want to spend a ton of money with a consultant.
I love that. I love it. There's so many things that you have here. And I love how your business, that was one of the things that I remembered from when we first started talking, Judi, was that your business, you work with some of the bigger companies, but you'll work with somebody brand new as well. And I think it's good to have that. I'm trying not to dwell in the I wish I would have done space, but I really did. I wish I would have had a better foundation. And I think the rest of my business had come together so naturally, and that part really hasn't. And I wish that I would have had like a better this is what not to do.
Well, it's never too late to start.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that message. If one of the questions that I've been asking all of our guests on My Way this season is, if someone comes to you, Judi, and they say, I'm going to start my business, but I really don't feel like I can do things my way. I feel like I have to do it this way, or, I've got people in my ear saying this is how things have to be done. What would you say to them in order to give them the confidence or the first steps in doing business their way?
I think this is something that you have to really learn and internalize, but you have to trust your gut. You know what you want to do. You know how you want to do it. Just do it. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, you learn something. Awesome. If it does work out, you're a step further. Awesome. It's a win either way. It's your business. Everybody has an opinion, and take it. There are smart people out there. Take it for what it's worth. But when I started, there were all of these internet marketing seminars, and this is how you do internet marketing. And I tried it, and honestly, it felt icky to me, and it never worked for me. So if it isn't right for you, it's not going to work for you. You have to find what works for you, the individual person that you are.
I love that. It's so good. It's so good because we're all individuals. Why do we think that our businesses are going to be cookie cutter too?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not. And it shouldn't be. And don't try and fit yourself into that square peg hole.
Yes, because
that's the beauty. You get to be the guy in the corner office making the good or bad decisions.
Yeah. Some days I'm down for that. Other days I don't know about that for that girl over there. She's in trouble. Judi, I've written so much down. You've given us so many great ideas, and I highly recommend you guys check out those videos that Judi was talking about on her website or on her YouTube channel. How can people find you on YouTube, by the way? What should they type in? Just your name?
Shoot. I should look that up.
It's okay.
I think it's GrowthCast Cash, but you can find it from the website. You can get there from the website.
Yeah, so that's a good idea. You guys go to growth-cast.com. You see it at the bottom there of the screen, and you'll find it over there on her blog, the videos. And it's been so interesting for me to see all of the different videos that people make with their 3 minutes, the short videos, video socials. I love it. If
you have questions, send me your questions and I'll answer them on a video.
Yes. Oh, that's such a great idea. I think I thought about doing that myself. Thinking of some things that people have asked me and just answer, but I'm long-winded. So
yeah, you have to be like, there really is not a lot of information you can fit in 3 minutes. So you have to be really focused.
Yes. Which is lacking. But we try. Judi, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. It was so good to have you here finally.
Thank you, Jessica. This was a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad you had a good time. And thanks to everybody that's been watching. I've seen a ton of comments coming in. Listen, we already know, Grim. This is why we're friends, because we know that we are long-winded together. I thank you guys for watching or listening wherever you are. Judi, thank you so much again for being here tonight. All right, you guys, it has been another fantastic episode today. I want to remind you of a couple ways to get plugged in so you don't miss these shows because they're so good. You can join our text community by texting the word breakthrough to 256-6857-092. In the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico, that's 256-6857-092. Then I also encourage you to join our Discord server to meet with other fans, past guests, hosts from the Breakthrough Show Network. You get to talk talk to us directly, ask your questions and we answer, head over to bit.ly/Discord Breakthrough, bit.ly/Discord Breakthrough. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. This was another fantastic episode of My Way. I encourage you to come back every other Tuesday. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back with another amazing guest, maybe even 2 amazing guests next episode. We'll find out. Special thank you to our guest, Judi, this evening, and to all of you for being here. And I want to remind you, do things your way. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.